Here are the video solutions for City and Guilds Level 2 Functional Skills Maths. This is sample paper 2 and this is section 1, which is the non-calculator section. So question number 1, what is 108 as a fraction of 648? Well, it's simply 108 over 648, but that is not a fraction in its simplest form. So we can see that these numbers are both even, so we can divide both by 2. 108 divided by 2 is 54. 648 divided by 2, a bit harder to work out, and we could do a bus stop method, but I know that 6 divided by 2 is 3, 4 divided by 2 is 2, 8 divided by 2 is 4, so I've basically just done a bus stop without actually drawing one there. I've now got even numbers again, so I'm going to divide by 2 once more. 54 divided by 2 is 27. And 32 divided by 4 is what? Well, 32 divided by 2 is 16. 4 divided by 2 is 2. Now, I can't divide by 2 anymore, so I'm going to guess that I can divide by 3. Well, let's try it out. I know I can divide 27 by 3, but can I divide 162 by 3? 1 divided by 3 doesn't work, so move 1 across. 16 divided by 3 is 5 with a remainder of 1. 12 divided by 3 is 4, so I can definitely divide by 3, so that is a 54, and 27 divided by 3 is 9. Now I know that both these numbers are in the 9 times table. This question is all about times tables recognition really. 9 divided by 9 is 1, 54 divided by 9 is 6, so the answer is 1/6. Question number 2, which one of the following lists is in decreasing order? So I'm going to forget the list for now. They've all got the same numbers, so it's 1/5, 0.05, 17/50ths, and 0.15. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn all of them into percentages. You could turn them all into decimals. After all, 2 of them are decimals already, but I find percentages a lot easier to work with. And let's face it, converting decimals to percentages should be quite easy. We're just multiplying by 100, so 0.05 is 5%, 0.15 is 15%. Now 17 over 50, what is that as a percentage? Well, a percentage is a fraction out of 100, so the number on the bottom has doubled, so I need to double the top number as well, so that is 34%. And 1/5, well 1/5, that is the same as 2/10, and that is the same as 20 1/100ths, so that is 20%. I mean, ideally, just know that a fifth is 20%. So in decreasing order, we want the biggest first, so that is number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. So we're looking for an order that starts with 17/50ths. So that is answer D. Moving on to question number 3, the diagram shows a regular polygon and we want to work out angle B. Now all of these angles add up to 360 degrees because that is a full circle in the middle, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sections. So what is 360 divided by 8? 3 divided by 8 is 0, remainder 3. 36 divided by 8 is 4 with a remainder of 4. 40 divided by 8 is 5. So therefore it is 45 degrees. Work out the value of y if 4y is 144. So if 4y is 144, then 1y is going to be 4 times less. In other words, 144 divided by 4. How many 4's go into 144? 1 divided by 4 is 0, remainder 1. 14 divided by 4 is 3, remainder 2. 24 divided by 4 is 6, so the answer is y must equal 36. Question number 5 is a question about BIDMAS, the order of operations. Now we don't have any brackets, but we do have indices, so we need to do the 3 squared first. 3 squared is 3 times by 3, which is 9. So the question is 9 over 3 minus 28. Remember, this line in a fraction means divide, so we have division and we have subtraction. The division needs to occur first. 9 divided by 3 is 3, so the question is 3 minus 28. Okay, so we're subtracting a bigger number from the number we're starting with, so we know the answer is going to be negative. Well, what is 28 minus 3? 28 minus 3 is 25, so 3 minus 28 is going to be minus 25. So there is our final answer, minus 25. Okay, the radius of the top of the cylinder is 7, the height is 10, use pi is 22 over 7. What is the volume? Well, the volume is going to be the area of the circle multiplied by the height. So that is pi r squared multiplied by the height. So that is 22 over 7 multiplied by the radius, which is 7, squared, so 7 times 7 multiplied by 10. Now 22 over 7, this line of a fraction means divide, so we could write this as 22 divided by 7 multiplied by 7 multiplied by 7 multiplied by 10. Well, if we're dividing by 7 and then multiplying by 7, doesn't that seem a bit of a waste of time? Why don't we just get rid of both of those, because one cancels out the other. So 22 times 7 times 10, I'll save the times 10 till the end because that's going to be quite easy. What is 22 multiplied by 7? 2 7s are 14, carry 1. 2 7s are 14 plus 1 is 15. 154 times by 10, so that is 1540 cubic centimetres. Question number 7, 11 eighths minus 1 16th. Well, we can't subtract 16ths from eighths because we have different numbers on the bottom. So we need to look at the fraction with the larger number, which is 16, and go through the 16 times table until we find the first number that can be divided by 8. Well, luckily enough, the first number in the 16 times table is 16, and that can be divided by 8. So what this means is I can turn eighths easily into sixteenths. So the bottom number has doubled, so for an equivalent fraction I need to double the top, so that is 22. So the question is now 22 sixteenths minus 1 16th, which is 21 sixteenths. The line in a fraction means divide. What is 21 divided by 16? Well, how many 16s go into 21? Well, it goes once with a remainder of 5, so that is 1 and 5 sixteenths, which is answer C. Question number 8 is not too bad. Oh, it is quite bad because that's not a plus sign, that is a division sign. So yeah, it is quite bad actually. We don't want to divide by a decimal. So what we need to do here is fiddle the numbers. Now, a lot of people get very confused by this. Remember that 8 divided by 4 is 2. If I multiply the number, well, I could have doubled them, but if I multiply both of them by 10, I still get the, what is 80 divided by 40? Most people tell me it's 20, but no, it's still 2. How many 40s go into 80? Still 2. And if I multiply by 10 again, how many 400s go into 800? It's still 2. So what I'm going to do is, because I don't want to divide by a decimal, but if I multiply this number by 100, I turn it into a nice round 5, a whole number. But I need to do exactly the same to the other side as well. So if I multiply this side by 100, I get 450. So 450 divided by 5, that is exactly the same answer as 4.50 divided by 0.05, in the same way as 800 divided by 400 is the same as 8 divided by 4. So how many 5s go into 450? Well, I know that 45 divided by 5 is 9, so 450 divided by 9 is 90, and there's no need to fiddle the answer. As I said before, 450 divided by 5 is the same as 4.5 divided by 0.05. Question number 9. This is an equilateral triangle because all of the angles are going to be 60 degrees. If we're not sure if this angle is 60, then we'll need to do 180 minus 60 minus 60, which is 60. So therefore this is 24 millimeters and this is 24 millimeters. So the perimeter is 24 times by 3. 3 4s are 12, carry 1, 2 3s are 6, plus 1 is 7. So the perimeter is 72 millimeters. Question number 10. Work out the probability that the next call will be a customer complaint. So the probability of the next call being a customer complaint is 1/4, and it's completed within under 5 minutes, or the probability of completing a call in less than 5 minutes is 1/2, so I'm going to multiply the probabilities together. So 1 times 1 is 1, and 4 times 2 is 8. Question number 11. The government announces that the minimum wage for people over 25 is going to increase from £8.25 to £8.72. A 26-year-old woman works 30 hours a week, and she thinks that the extra money will cover the rent increase of £20. Well, first of all, what is the increase per hour? £8.72 take away £8.21. 2 minus 1 is 1, 7 minus 2 is 5, 8 minus 8 is 0. So the increase is 51p. So what is 51 pence multiplied by 30 hours? Well, I'm just going to work out 51 times by 3 to begin with. 1 3 is 3, 3 5s are 15. So therefore 51 times 30 is 1,530 pence. Divide that by 100 to turn it into pounds, that's £15.30. Will that cover £20? No, it will not, because £15.30 is less than £20. Question number 12. A driver sees the speed limit sign, which is 130 kilometers per hour, and he's driving at 80 miles per hour, and we know that a kilometer is 5/8 of a mile. So 130 kilometers is 130 times greater than 1. So what I need to do is multiply 5/8 by 130 as well. So what is 130 multiplied by 5/8? Okay, this is the same question as what is 5/8 of 130. So what we're going to do is take our total, divide it by the number on the bottom, which is 8, and then multiply by 5. We could multiply by 5 and then divide by 8, but I'd rather divide a small number before I then multiply it. So, bus stop method, how many 8s go into 130? 1 divided by 8 doesn't go, move the 1 across. 13 divided by 8 is 1 with a remainder of 5. 50 divided by 8, or 6 8s are 48, that's a remainder of 2, so 0, put the 2 on it. 20 divided by 8 goes twice with a remainder of 4, put in another 0, so I can put the 4 on top of it, so 16.25. So now I just need to do 16.25 times by 5. So I'm going to forget it's a decimal for the time being. 5 5s are 25, carry the 2. 2 5s are 10, 11, 12, carry the 1. 6 5s are 30, plus 1 is 31, carry the 3. 1 times 5 is 5, 6, 7, 8. So if 1,625 times by 5 is this figure here, then 16.25 times 5 is going to be the same answer, but with 2 decimal places. So I'm going to create 2 decimal places by plonking the decimal point here. So 130 kilometers per hour is the same as 81.25 miles per hour. He's driving at 80. He thinks he's below the speed limit. Is he correct? Yes, he is, because the speed limit is 81.25, which is greater than the speed he's driving at. Quite a tricky one, that one. Question number 13. We want the approximate volume, so we're just going to round these numbers. So 29, well, that is approximately 30. 41 is approximately 40, and 24, I think rounding it down to 20 is a bit much, so we'll call that 25. Now the volume is going to be 30 times 40 times 25, or 30 times 40 is, well, 3 times 4 is 12. Put the 2 zeros back. So what is 1200 times 25? So what I'm going to do is multiply 25 by 12 and then put 2 zeros on the end. 2 5s are 10, carry 1, 2 2s are 4, plus 1 is 5. Move on to the 1. This is the 1 of 10, so put in a 0 first. 1 times 5 is 5, 1 2 is 2. Add these together, 0, 10, carry the 1, 2 plus 1 is 3. So if 12 times by 25 is 300, then 1200 times 25 is going to be 300, with another 2 zeros added on, so that is 30,000 cubic centimetres. Here are the video solutions for City and Guilds Level 2 Functional Skills Maths. This is sample paper 2 and this is the calculator section. So question number 1. What is 0.06 million divided by 6.2 thousand? Well, the trouble is you can't type into your calculator 0.6 million, but what you can type in is 0.06 multiplied by 1 million, as long as you know that a million has 6 zeros, and that comes to 60,000. And you can also type in 6.2 times by 1,000, which is 6,200. So now you can type into your calculator 60,000 divided by 6,200, and that comes to a total of 9.67741. We want the answer to 2 decimal places, so we're interested in the value of the 3rd decimal place. Anything beyond that we can completely ignore, and if this digit here is 5 or greater, which it is, then the column to the left will move up by 1, so this 7 will become an 8, so 9.68. What is 3/87 as a decimal correct to 3 decimal places? Well, the skill is just remembering that the line of a fraction means divide, so on your calculator 3 divided by 87, and that comes to 0.03448, continues for a bit longer than that, but we want to give an answer to 3 decimal places, so we're only interested in the value of the 4th decimal place. Anything beyond that we can ignore. If this number is 5 or greater, then the column to the left will move up by 1, but 4 is less than 4, so the column to the left will remain as it is, so the answer is 0.034. Question 3, the diagram shows the outline of a building. Which one of the above shows the elevation of the left-hand side of the building? So the left-hand side is, we're looking at it from the side here, so what we will see is a square that looks like this over on the other side, and as we're looking at the roof, when we're looking at the roof from a distance, we won't see the fact that it's sort of sloping away from us. We will simply see another square or rectangle on the top, so therefore the answer here is C. Question number 4. 1 cubic meter is the same as what? Well, this is quite tricky. So here is a cube, and if I just sort of instead of making each dimension 1 meter, we know that 1 meter is 100 centimeters. Well, I hope we do. So the volume is going to be 100 times 100 times by 100. So 100 times 100, stick on another 2 zeros, times 100 again, stick on another 2 zeros. So that is 1,000,000 cubic centimeters, which is answer D. Question number 5. A social club sells 50 pink raffle tickets and 75 yellow. What's the probability that the first ticket drawn will be pink? Well, that's going to be 50 out of the total. Well, what is the total? Well, the total is 50 plus 75, which is 175. So the probability is 50. Sorry, it's not 175, it's 125. What am I talking about? So 50 divided by 125. Remember, the line of a fraction means divide. So 50 divided by 125 gives us an answer of 0.4. So that is the probability of pulling out a pink ticket. Question number 6. The chart shows finishing times of marathon runners. A report states that most of the runners finished in under 4 hours. Well, here is 4 hours. Is the report correct? Well, the decision is no, and the reason for that is we can see that there is a greater, if we just look at the area of everything that is shaded in grey to the right of 4 hours, which is longer than 4 hours, that is a greater area than to the left. Just this block here between 4 and 4:30 takes care of cancels out most of this area here, so we could probably say that this part here cancels out that part. This part here is bigger than that part, so let's say they cancel out as well, and this part here is probably equal to more or less of that area there. So we can still see that we still got quite a lot of excess area on the right hand side. So we can say that the area to the right of the 4 hour mark is greater than the area to the left. Job done. Okay, question number 7. So a shop has a sale, there's a 30% off all of the black tag items, and the reduced price is £21, and then there's another reduction, and a customer complains that it's misleading because it's not true. So is it true that this is better than half price? Okay, so whatever the original price was, I'll write OP for original price. If it was 30% off, then to calculate the reduced price of £21, we would have multiplied that by 0.7. If it's 30% off, that means you would pay 70%, because 100 minus the 30% is 70%. And the multiplier for 70% is 0.7. So if the original price would have been multiplied by 0.7 to get this value here. So therefore the original price would be 21 divided by 0.7, which is £30. Okay, so the original price, let's just make a note of that, the original price was £30. Okay, so we know that there's another 25% off the £21, and if it's 25% off, then that means you pay 100 minus 25%, which is 75%. So what is 75% of the £21? The calculation is 0.75 multiplied by 21, and that comes to £15.75. Okay, so it's gone from £30 to 15.75 or £15.75. Is that better than half price? No, it's not, because half price is £15. So if it's better than half price, it would have been lower than 15, but it's still above 15, so that is completely wrong. Okay, so that's what we need to write in here. The price, I've forgotten what it was, is £15.75, which is greater than £15, so the customer is correct. Okay, question number 8. A craftsman used resin to make a paperweight. He makes the paperweight from 2 parts, a hemisphere and a cylinder, and he uses this plan. How much resin does he need for both parts? So we need to work out the volume of the cylinder and the volume of the hemisphere. Now the volume of a cylinder is the area of the circle, which is pi r squared, multiplied by the height, which is 5. So we've been told that pi is 3.14, so 3.14 multiplied by the radius. Now what is the radius? Well, we know it's 6 centimeters from one side to another, so that is the diameter. So if the diameter is 6, then the radius is half that, so it's 3. So 3.14 times by the radius squared, the radius times the radius, so 3 times 3 times by 5, and that is 141.3 cubic centimeters. And for the hemisphere, we have been given the formula, which is 2/3 pi r squared. So we just need to remember that 2/3 means 2 divided by 3 times by 3.14 times by the radius squared, which again is 3 times 3. Maybe you've realised that a divide by 3 and a times by 3 cancel each other out, so you can get rid of that if you want, but it's fine just to keep it in there. It's not much extra effort typing it in the calculator after all, and that comes to 56.52 cubic centimeters. So the total volume is going to be 141.3 plus the 56.52, and that comes to a total of 197.82 cubic centimeters. Let's move on to the next question, question number 9. Okay, so a gardener wants to build this greenhouse in the top right corner of her garden, and we've got a sketch of the garden, so the greenhouse is going up here, and we need a 50 centimeter space between the greenhouse and the edge of the garden, and we need to draw a plan of this on the graph paper here. So Right, first of all, let's just draw the garden. So it's 5.5 meters along the top. So can I make each big square 1 meter? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5.5. Okay, so the garden would go all the way up to here. So it's also 5.5 to the base. Does that work as well? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5.5. Perfect. It's 2.5 along the bottom, so 1, 2, 2.5. So I'll just put in the corners now and just check that this fits. It's 4 meters down this side, so 1, 2, 3, 4. And we need to work out what this distance here is. Well, we know that it's 5.5 across the top and 2.5 for this part here. So this distance here is 5.5 minus 2.5, which is 3. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, so here is my garden. Obviously, it's a lot better if you use a ruler. And we are done. Now, we know that, well, this is a centimetre scale grid. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that is 8 centimetres. This is 6 centimetres. This is 3 centimetres. This is 5 centimetres. This is 11 centimetres, and this is also 11 centimetres. So what is the scale, first of all? Well, let's take a nice easy side, one that's not a decimal. So the scale is 8 centimetres, represents 4 meters in real life. So that, let's convert the meters into centimetres, so multiply by 100. So the scale is 8 to 400. We can simplify this by dividing by 2, so that's 4 to 200, which is the same as 2 to 100, which is the same as 1 to 50. Okay, so the scale is 1 to 50. Now, we also need to leave a 50 centimetre space between this and the greenhouse, so 1 square represents 50 centimetres, so we can, here we've left 50 centimetres down this side here and 50 centimetres along here. Now the greenhouse is 2 by 2.5, so 1 metre, 2 metres, and 1 to 2.5. Of course, it's fine if you orientate it differently, so it's 2.5 by 2 rather than 2 by 2.5, as long as it's accurate. So here we go. So this is the 2 metre side, so that's 4 centimetres, and that is 5 centimetres. So after all that, we are now done, and we have created the gap. So all good. Now let's move on. So question number 10. A student wants to raise £100 for charity. He will sell hot dogs at a disco. He will make 150 hot dogs, and he buys the ingredients at the supermarket. So he's buying hot dog sausages in tins of 8. So how many tins does he need to buy? Well, what is 150 divided by 8? 150 divided by 8 is 18.75 tins. Obviously you can't buy 0.75 of a tin, so we're just going to have to round that up to 19 tins. So what is the cost of 19 tins? Well, it's going to be 19 times by 50p, which is 950 pence. So that in pounds is £9.50. Okay, and the buns are in packets of 6. So how many 6s go into 150? 150 divided by 6 is 25, and then 90 pence each. So 25 multiplied by 90, it comes to 2,250 pence, otherwise known as £22.50. So the total is going to be these two figures added together, and £9.50 plus £22.50, that comes to a total of £32. But he wants to raise £100 for charity, so we need to make a profit of £100, so therefore we need to add £100 onto this, so that is £132, and the price per hot dog is therefore going to be 132 divided by 150, and that comes to a total of £0.88. In other words, 88 pence. So the minimum price of a hot dog is 88p. Question 11. So a supermarket buyer compares large eggs from two suppliers. She wants to buy the largest eggs, and we know the mean for supplier B, but we don't know the mean for supplier A. Now, supplier A is going to be an estimated mean, and the reason for that is we are dealing with grouped data. Here we have 22 eggs that are between 63 and 65 grams. Well, they could all be 63 grams, or a tiny bit more than 63, because it can't equal 63, but they could all be 65. So what we need to do is just take the midpoint and assume that they are all that weight. That's why it's going to be an estimated mean. So the midpoint of 63 and 65 is 64. So we're now assuming that we have 22 eggs that are 64 grams each. So the total weight of these 22 eggs is 22 multiplied by 64, which is 1408. So I'll just make a note that this is the total. So the midpoint is 65 and 67 is 66. The midpoint here is 68. Midpoint here is 70, and the midpoint in the last group is 72. So just as we did for the first row, we're going to multiply across here. So that comes to 1782, 1768, 1050, and 720. So the mean weight is going to be the total weight of all the eggs combined divided by the number of eggs. So first of all, how many eggs are there? Well, this is the number of eggs. It does say number of eggs. So often it just says frequency, and if I add these up, that is a nice round 100. And the grand total of all the weights combined, remember this is an estimated total, not an actual total, but it's the best we can do. That comes to 6,728. So the estimated mean is going to be 6,728 divided by 100, so that is 67.28. So the estimated mean from, this is supplier A, is 67.28. The mean for supplier B is 66.5, so presumably she'll want the larger eggs, so therefore she should go with supplier A. Okay, let's move on to the next question. So a man has £5,000. He'll put his money into a savings account at a bank, and he wants to save it for 1 year. Bank A pays 2% compound interest, and it adds interest every 6 months. Well, if it's in there for 1 year, then the interest is going to be applied twice. So Bank A is going to be £5,000. So this amount is going to be increased by 2%. Now the multiplier for a 2% increase is 1.02, and that's going to happen twice. We can type in times 1.02 squared, and that comes to 5,202. Bank B is only adding the interest annually, so that's going to be 5,000, and the multiplier is 1.0315. If you're struggling with the multiplier here, just divide it by 100. So 0.0315, that is the multiplier we would use if we were calculating 3.15% of an amount, but if you want to increase by 3.15%, then we just need to add 1 to that figure, so that's where the 1.0315 comes from. Anyway, that comes to a total of 5,157.5, so that is less than 5,202, so he should go with Bank A. Question number 13. A magazine article has got the headline that garden birds are in decline, fewer birds seen in our garden. There's the graph. Is the magazine headline correct? And show suitable calculations of percentage changes for the last 10 years and draw trend lines. Okay, so the trend line is just the line of best fit. So we're going to draw a straight line that cuts through the dots, trying to keep more or less an equal number of dots above and below the line. So, oops, not drawn it particularly brilliantly there, but something along the lines of that. And for the other one, it should be, okay, it's probably a little bit on the low, so I probably should have moved it up a little bit, but it's quite hard when you're freestyling it on a graphics tablet. Obviously, if you're using a ruler, you can line it up much more accurately. Okay, So let's work out the percentage changes. Well, first of all, for the sparrow, it's gone from 5 in 2009 to 5. So there has been no change. So for the, and that was the sparrow. So that is a 0% change. So our first comment is no decrease in the number of sparrows. And what about the chaffinches? Well, it's gone from 4 down to 2. So to calculate the percentage change, it's the difference, so that's a difference of 2, divided by what it was originally, which was 4, multiplied by 100. Although we probably don't even need to use the calculator here, because we know that 2/4 is 1/2 and 1/2 is 50%. So here we can say that there's been a 50% decrease in the chaffinch sightings. So is the headline correct? Well, it's definitely correct for the chaffinches. It's not correct for the sparrows, but you could say that it is correct overall, because the average percentage change is a decrease. Let's move on now to question number 14. So question 14, a team manager wants to pick 4 people for a bowling competition, and she's picking players with a consistently good median scoring performance. So she's got 3 on the team, and she needs to decide whether Dave or Elaine are going to make the cut. So the median is going to be the middle value when we put them in order. So let's put Dave's in order first of all. So the lowest is 48, then 67, then 78, then 86, 96, 98, 101, 102. So to find the median, I'm going to chop one off the left, chop one off the right, and do the same again and again, one more time. And I was hoping to get 1 in the middle, but I've got 2 in the middle, and that's because I've got an even number of values. So the median is going to be the halfway point between 86 and 96. That is a difference of 10. So if we half that difference, which is 5, add 5 to 86, or subtract 5 from 96, we get 91. So for Dave, the median is 91. Another way we could do this is just 86 plus 96 and divide that by 2, but we'll still get 91. Let's do the same for Elaine. Let's get her values in order. So 79, 84, 87, there's 2 87s, 93, 97, 98 and 101. So let's chop one off the right and the left, and again and again. So we want the midpoint of 87 and 93. Well, that's a bit easier to work out because that's simply 90, but again, if you're struggling, just add the 2 values together and divide by 2. So for Elaine, her median is 90, so therefore Dave will make the team because his median is slightly greater. Okay, question number 15. A fisherman sets off from Dunsey in a boat. His boat will travel at an average speed of 5 kilometers per hour. He's got the map to avoid the rocks. He needs to meet up with a ship at coordinate L34. So we're going across to L and then down to 34. So he's meeting a ship here. And he needs to get there for 5 p.m. So he needs to know what time he must leave Dunsey. So let's first of all work out what the distance is. So let's just count the squares. So these are centimetre squares. So 1, 2, so 3. I'm assuming he can go along here because he will miss the rocks, but you can go a tiny bit higher if you want, but a range of answers are acceptable here, but I think following this line makes the maths a lot easier. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so that is 8, and then down 2. So in total, 8 plus 2 is 10, plus 3 is 13. So that is 13 centimetres. Now the scale is 1 to 25,000, so for every 1 centimetre that represents 25,000 in real life. So we need to do 13 lots of 25,000, and that comes to 325,000 centimetres in real life, which is quite an absurd distance, well, quite an absurd unit really. So let's turn this into metres by dividing by 100. And if we divide that by 100, we can do it on a calculator, or we can just chop off 2 zeros. That comes to 3250 meters. And let's turn this into kilometers, because we've been given a speed up here in kilometers per hour. So we know there's 1,000 meters in a kilometer, so 3250 divided by 1,000 equals 3.25 kilometers. So speed is the distance over time. We want the time. Time is distance over speed. We can just flip these around. So the distance is 3.25, and we're going to be dividing that by 5. And 3.25 divided by 5 is 0.65 hours. Now that isn't 65 minutes, that is less than 1 hour. What we need to do is multiply this by 60. 0.65 multiplied by 60, that comes to 39 minutes. So he needs to leave 39 minutes before 5 o'clock. So if we count back 30 minutes from 5 o'clock, that takes us to 4:30, and then subtract 9 minutes from that, that will take us to 4:21. So he needs to leave Dunsey at 4:21.